Sawdust. Man's glitter. Oh, so this here comes from back in the day, of course. It's I had a lot of when I was very young. I had a lot of really awesome relatives and people in my life that are just wow. Didn't appreciate them then, but I guess I did. But there's nothing like I do now. Thinking back, it's always hindsight's a 2020 deal, man. You can look back and see where you could have done things this and that way, and it sure would have turned out different. But the way my life is, I wouldn't change it for the nothing. And I sure wouldn't appreciate everything I got now and the gratitude I have now if I hadn't been through everything I've been through. Quite a life. But anyway, uh, so my Uncle Butch was quite the character. If my mama and daddy and all them, anybody that knows who I'm talking about, wow, what a cat. But Uncle Butch, he loved his liquor. Now he kept a pint in his boot with him or a half pint with him everywhere. But back when I was young, he was also one of the sweetest men you ever met in your life, as far as I know. But he'd always, hang out with me. He's one of the first people I ever canoe raced with and that sort of thing. He was just something else. We won a big, long, 20-some mile canoe race. Me and him won it when I was like, maybe 12, 13, something like that. And but Butch used to he worked for my dad for a long time. We had a 40-acre alfalfa field right there at the house, and it was just prolific. It was beautiful, just every year. But the bees would come to that like, man, I mean the bees, lots and lots of bees. And so Butch would take me out, and we'd sit at the edge of the field, and we'd start out at the edge of the field, and he'd sit down, have me sit with him, and he'd talk real soft maybe, or we just wouldn't talk at all a lot. I'd just sit there, and watch the sunshine and watching them bees. And he'd have him a shot of liquor, and we'd sit there for a while. And he kept watching them bees, and he'd watch them, and they'd go as far as he could see, and then we'd get up and walk to that spot where he'd saw that bee the last, and we'd sit down again, and he'd have him another shot of liquor, and we'd sit there a while. And sometimes we'd get up and maybe go 15 feet, and sometimes we might go 100 feet, But about midday, we had come upon just a great big oak tree with a big hollow in it and just full of bees. And so I sure learned about how to track bees, and then got to watch him harvest them, and and he was always real conscientious about making just a big enough hole he could get to them, and he always smoked them out real good had some old burlap in a bucket, had some holes in the bottom of the bucket, and he'd get them coals going. He'd smoke that old tree real good and climb up in there with just a shirt on, shirt and his hat, his pants and all, boots, but he didn't ever wear no gloves and no protective face mask or nothing like that. And he'd always take his time, get on up in there. Get on up in there and get that honey. But so, reflecting back on that, and then thinking about love, of course, I'm always wondering about love and thinking about that. And so love and honey kind of go together, because they sure can be sweet. They sure can. But they can also be very, very temperamental. Love, love and honey, both of them getting the honey from the bees can be. Better watch out. Better watch out. But anyway, this is a song called Wild Honey. Every time I come to town, I see you. You're working behind the counter at that store. And I want to ask you if you'll come out walking. to a place I'm sure you ain't never seen before. And outside town, the Cloverfields are buzzing. Hey, them bees flying to and fro. When the time is right, I'm gonna tell you that I love you. And we do a little buzz in the bar, yeah. You are wild, honey, not like the kind that you can buy at the store. You are wild, honey. Oh, I can see how I can love you forevermore. You are wild, honey, like your kisses, it's so sweet on my tongue. You are wild, honey, oh, I'm gonna hunt you down this song. Everybody knows that these can be fussy. Oh, you've got to learn to use a gentle hand. And like my old Uncle Woods before me, yeah, he taught me how to be a gentle man. You're like wild, honey, like your kisses, it stays sweet on my tongue, yeah. You're like wild, honey. Oh, oh, I'm gonna smoke you out and get me some. I'm gonna smoke you out and get me some of your wild, honey. Yeah, some wild honey. Get you some.